Keeping in tone with my last video, Umbra Galaxy is a top-down, spaceship-based shooter game. It's made in Unity engine by Shell Helix and Datster, and it's pretty short but a challenging game. It's a short download and has very little in terms of menu items. Your settings include only volume controls, and other than that you get a leaderboard full of 5 anonymous people and 1 named person, and a start button. When you start, you jump into your ship sprite and a starry background and a simple UI. You have a lives meter in the bottom left with 2 blips that actually stands for 3 lives, since when you lose the first one you lose 1 bar, second death gets rid of the second, and you have 1 more to go from there, but then you die on the 3rd hit. You can actually pick up a 1-up later in the game, and if you've lost no lives by then you get a bonus life, which is why this bar is randomly longer than the 2 green life bars. You have a mini-map in the bottom right and yellow arrows on the screen to direct you to where the next things you need to attack are. Your mouse guides your crosshair, and you have WASD to move and left mouse to fire. That's all the control that you need. The aim of the game is to destroy each of these networks of guns and shields without dying. On your minimap you can see the layout of these when you get close, and one of the guns will be tagged as red. If you destroy that key part, which is supposed to be a generator but looks like a cannon, then the entire structure will break. The yellow arrows on your map actually lead directly to the generator. In some cases the generators are exposed from the start, and in some cases you have to work your way through and dismantle the outer connections to get to it, since these barriers can't be shot through unless by the guns themselves. Cheaters. The barriers are the only real protection the guns have, and it normally only takes a few hits to kill them and the generators, but the difficulty in destroying them comes from projectiles and ships forcing you to constantly stay on the move so you can't keep sustained fire on them, or in some cases from the sheer weight of projectiles and ships absorbing all of your bullets before they can reach the intended target, making you have to come round again for another pass. The game is effectively a bullet hell at some points. As touched on briefly there, the game has a variety of hazards for you to avoid, and they evolve over the levels. The standard guns shoot rockets at you, which you can actually destroy by shooting at them. They upgrade to shooting blue orbs at you that explode into anywhere from 3 to 5 rockets. There are also random red kamikaze ships that fly at you from the edge of the screen and follow you until they manage to ram into you, which can also be shot out of the cannons for some reason. What can also be shot out of cannons or fly at you from the edge of the screen are upgraded ships that shoot their own extra fast rockets at you as well. All of these projectiles can be destroyed with your own shots and will slowly degrade your health bar, so you can weather a few of these per level without too much worry. When you finish a level, the wormhole that appears obliterates all remaining projectiles, so you don't have to worry about a post-level death to a rocket. Although there's still need for vigilance, since sometimes a rocket or ship will manage to slip the destruction. The most infuriating hazard of all is these lava asteroid things, and I hate them with a passion. They're indestructible by your bullets, and 1 hit from one takes an entire life away, even if you're on full health. 1 touch is death. You could weather 10 rockets a level, but 3 taps from an asteroid and your entire run is over. The hazards are introduced one at a time, but the last few levels combine everything together, and when you're trying to dodge bullets, ships, asteroids, and shoot other things at the same time, it is utter carnage. The generator and gun layouts, or modules, vary in size and firepower throughout the levels, but the size and complexity of them isn't necessarily indicative of the level difficulty, since in level 12, which I found the second hardest in the game, all of the modules were really small, but that level is asteroid heaven, so I was spending a ton of time clenching cheeks as asteroids skimmed past me and could barely focus enough to shoot at a target. One level was just 1 module, but with a giant network to unravel to get to the middle. The different projectiles give variety, as do the boss levels and power-ups. The power-ups come in 3 forms, one being a shield that lasts 10 seconds and makes you fully immune, which is super helpful to just barge into a module and go straight for the core. You also have triple shot, which does what it says on the tin, and a damage boost, which, again, self-explanatory. You can stack these power-ups, and the game counts you down until they disappear, so you can use them to their full potential and then get yourself to safety. The boss levels are at level 9 and 15, the finale, and actually are some of the easiest levels in the game. You can just fill them with bullets and lurk behind them so they can't hit you with their lasers, and then make sure that you stay out the way when they start spewing out bombs or whatever combo of existing enemies they can find in the final boss's case. I do have a couple of criticisms with the game, one being that the crosshair is tiny and hard to keep track of. I realise that in the video you can't actually see the crosshair since it's not actually part of the game and just changes your mouse overlay to it, so you're going to have to take my word for this. The crosshair is a lightish blue coloured circle with a dot in the middle and 4 small spokes on the top, bottom left and right. The circle is the same size as the dots you can see on the minimap. Blue on a black background isn't too bad, it is visible, and in the first handful of levels it's not really a problem, but when I get to the end levels and my screen is a solid blur of death and my eyes are crossed looking for stray asteroids, monitoring the million ships trying to kamikaze my ass into the 7th circle of hell, and I'm trying to weave like a lunatic, my crosshair might as well be invisible. A slider or something in the menu to make it a bit bigger or a bit brighter might do some favours, or even making it a colour that isn't really used, like green, would help. The other problem is with the leaderboard. It doesn't actually seem to record scores. I got a stupid loophole idea at one point to try and get myself a leaderboard score by abusing level 6. Since you get points for killing the red kamikaze ships, I figured I could let the guns shoot tons of them at me and just keep destroying them to farm points in a manageable level. So I did. I actually spent an embarrassing amount of time doing laps around the map destroying ships until I got my score into the 700,000s, a score that should have got me 4th on the leaderboard. But when I died, my score wasn't recorded at all. Now, I know you see the flaw in the plan, in which I probably need to actually complete the game for my score to be recorded. Well, you're also sort of wrong there, because I did complete the game, and the game completely erased the 398,500 score I got and gave me 0. I could type my name on the leaderboard, but that was all I got. So I think the leaderboard is broken, which is a real shame since I was so keen to get my name on it, and I probably would have had another go trying to finish the game with more points, but that wasn't going to be worth the time if I was going to have nothing to show for it. Other than that, there's not too much to pick on with this game. It's not visually spectacular or musically, but it's good enough to distinguish everything. The sound effects are all good and fitting, and the music does change for boss fights a little, but fades into the background for the most part. The difficulty is there, and those asteroids are annoying as all hell since you can't even destroy them, but it's balanced well enough in that the game helps you with power-ups, though not in the later levels when you're desperate for them, or it lowers the complexity of the modules to balance the difficulty of navigating the map. It all then culminates in a really challenging penultimate level. The pace is always there with the game since you've got projectiles to dodge and the ships following you mean that you can't stay still for too long or you'll get stampeded, or you'll get wiped out by an asteroid. It's a brain workout too, since in order to maximise your chances of survival you have to consider ways to open up the modules, like a puzzle, since you're just wasting time and risking yourself to more projectiles the more you try and take out more cannons. In some of the mazier ones it has to be done, but some only take a handful of shots to completely destroy if you wreck the right gun and expose the centre. It's a fairly short game, but I'd be confident saying one that probably needs multiple runs for most people. So actually from 0 to completion it could be anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes or even more. Obviously more replay would come from fighting for leaderboard scores, but sadly no luck on that one. Once you've beaten it you only have the achievements left to fight for. It was equal parts fun and frustration, especially knowing I was so close to the end and getting wiped out. It's a simple game with a risk of being samey, but has enough challenges to keep it interesting, so I would give Umbra Galaxy an 8.5 out of 10.